AATBirds Weekly Report is the Eagle news, notes, and analysis you need.
Quick, he's gonna go. What a give it to Smith, and they stop him again. Go back. He looks, fires for the end zone, intercepted, the 20, the 10, the 5, touchdown, Matt Ware, midfield, he's at 40, he's gonna go, Deshaun Jackson. He steps up, he's hit, and falls forward, and he fumbles the football, and the Eagles have it, it's one, and the Eagles win.
It's all birds, all the time.
And welcome to another edition of the AATBirds Weekly Report. This is the Opposition Outlook with the Steelers. Myself, Johnny Ulecka, joined by two bullpen arms we got calling in here. Talk a little World Series, throw that a little in there. Peanut is joining us from the Birds, Beers, and BS as an alter ego.
Yes.
We'll come up with a name a little bit later on what we're going to call him. And then, of course, our AT Sports writer, Adam Mack, he's joining us as well down at the bottom right corner. And then we are joined by Nick Farabaugh from the beat writer for Pittsburgh Sports Now and Locked On Pitt podcast. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate you coming on. Talk a little bit about this Battle of PA, Eagles and Steelers.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys for having me on. I'm excited, and I think that this is always a fun matchup, whether it's in Pittsburgh, PA. It's one of the few actual in-state things you can look at in football, right? Like Cincinnati, Cleveland, San Francisco, LA. You don't have a lot of these where you have the in-state rivalries, and especially since it happens so little. I really look forward to it.
And it's good, especially, looking at PA. I know, we have the Giants or, it's New York, New Jersey, whatever you want to call that. But no, it's good to have the Battle of PA type of thing there. I want to start you off with a question talking about another, basically PA Pitt player, University of Pittsburgh, Kenny Pickett. Steelers had turned to him after starting with Mitch Trubisky. What is the thought on how he's played so far this season in the handful of games that he has played?
I think Kenny Pickett's looked like a rookie. Just how you expect it, right? Rookies are volatile. They turn the ball over. You go through the ups and downs with a rookie. He's had those flashes where you've really liked what you've seen from him, and then he's had other moments where you're like, what are you doing? But that's the life of a rookie quarterback. Even a 24-year-old, supposedly pro-ready quarterback is going to struggle to the transition. There are some aliens out there that will skip that part, talking like Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, those types of guys. But that's not the norm. But I think there's a lot of promise with Kenny Pickett, man. He's creative outside the pocket. He's pretty smart. He's relatively accurate with the football, all levels of the field. I still think that they need to learn more about what he is truly as a processor in the pocket as well. But I think that he's a guy that is still feeling out the NFL right now. And so he's kind of an infant that you have to incubate and make sure nothing goes completely wrong and haywire. And so you got to make sure everything's kind of perfect around him. And so there's optimism around Kenny Pickett, but again, he's young and he's definitely flawed. And that's what happens usually with rookie quarterbacks. So a volatile player, and you're kind of waiting for the next time he kind of flashes and bangs out, right? He did that his first game against New York and the Jets. And then he struggled against Buffalo. Certainly struggled last week against Miami, but I think he's just trying to learn kind of the ropes of the NFL. And so we'll see. I think it's going to be very fun to watch Kenny Pickett grow because, last week could be a massive learning experience, and he could come out this week and play a lot better and learn from those experiences.
How do you think Kenny Pickett's going to do with this defensive front in his face pretty much the whole game? Like, do you have faith in his off-the-cuff make it up as it goes kind of play, especially when you're going to have that much pressure in a rookie quarterback's face?
Yeah, one thing I know about Kenny Pickett is he's a gamer, he's poised, and he's tough as nails. That has been everything that I've seen from him. I've watched this kid since 2017 at Pitt. I've seen him play college. I've seen him now play in the pros. I've seen him in practice so many times over the years. He's a gamer, man. He stands in there. He takes shots. He'll make the tough throws. He doesn't really get rattled by pressure, I don't think. That's the one thing. Now, I don't think he's a great manager of the pocket, and I think sometimes he'll step up into pressure and create it for himself, which I think is a little bit different. So that can be something. And the small hands are concerned for fumbles. So I also think that's something. It hasn't come up yet. He hasn't fumbled yet while getting sacked, but that's a chief concern of the small hand size that you saw and kind of heard throughout the process. I think as a guy facing pressure, though, he's able to kind of mitigate it at times too, because he's mobile and he's super talented off platform out of the pocket, and he's creative. So that's something that we have also started to see a little bit from him. We haven't fully seen it come out yet, but that's something that Kenny Pickett can also kind of bring out. But yeah, the pressure, it's going to be definitely in his face, and he's going to have to deal with it, and he'll probably run himself into a sack or two. He's done it many times already. He's going to learn to manage the pocket better. But if he sees his guy open, he's willing to stand in there. He's willing to make plays outside the pocket. So again, as I'm going to say a lot about Kenny Pickett, I think you're going to see lots of ups and downs in that area. He'll run into sacks. He'll probably make a few plays where you're like, okay, I don't know how he did that.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously that Pittsburgh offense, like Kenny Pickett, like you said, he's gonna struggle. He's a rookie. Like there's always those few guys that come out and they play like they're a 10-year veteran. He's not gonna be one of them. But it seems just like overall the Pittsburgh offense this season just has been super, super flat. Najee Harris, I mean, he has 2 receiving touchdowns, but only 1 rushing touchdown. 31st in the NFL in rushing. Even the receivers just only 5 receiving touchdowns on the year. A lot of that seems to be falling on Matt Canada. What are your thoughts on, him, if his job status, if he's going to finish the year, or if he's still maybe the long-term solution in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, man, I think that's the main problem with this Pittsburgh offense right now. The scheme, quite frankly, is awful. They run about 10 plays. I mean, really, it is that simple. They run a shovel pass, some jet sweeps, sprint outs, the heave and pray ball down the sideline. And here's the thing about the Steelers. They ignore about 65% of the field. They don't use inside the numbers like at all. It's kind of crazy. The whole route tree is curls, comebacks, deep 7 routes, go balls. You don't really see crossers. You don't really see stuff like that. You see maybe throws to the flat. And the only middle of the field route you'll probably see is a short hitch and a slant. It's just not a very complicated offense, and it doesn't give the quarterback multiple options to actually save him. So Kenny Pickett is not going to have the option on an RPO necessarily to hand the ball off to Najee Harris and throw a slant or run the ball himself. There's just not a lot of good options in the Matt Canada offense. He runs weird routes. He runs weird plays. It's not a well-coached unit. The scheme itself is lackluster. It's very, very much. There's a blurring of the lines as of recent between college and NFL offenses. Obviously, this is a true college offense that doesn't really work in the pros. He doesn't really play sequence anything, so nothing really builds off each other. I think that's another thing is that you see good offenses do is that they set other plays up with other plays, and that doesn't really happen in this offense. And again, they just ignore the middle of the field. So you can sit in too high all game, cut off the sideline, and force Pickett to make those great throws. And he doesn't have that good of an arm. He's not a Josh Allen, Mahomes, Herbert arm type. So he's not going to whip cover 2 hole shots the whole game. Might make 1 or 2 of them, but that's not his game. He's a guy that wins by throwing over the middle of the field. So yeah, you just don't see it a lot. A lot of these route concepts are pretty lackluster. The run game isn't layered enough with the play action. When they run play action, they only target the flat, so it's very predictable, and you don't really have to respect it as a linebacker because you're not getting cheesed behind you, or at the very least, no one's throwing it behind you because that's not the progression in this offense. They don't really run RPOs a ton anymore, which is weird because you would feel like that would be something you would run with a rookie quarterback to take the pressure off him. They don't. Matt Canada is not the answer. and probably should be gone sooner rather than later. He's really hurting this offense right now. They're not as bad as they should. They're not as bad as they are performing right now, is what I would say. I think there's enough talent on this offense to do some decent things, but the offense coordinator is really holding them back.
So, one of our viewers, Adam, has a question. Is Mike Tomlin on the hot seat? We talked about Matt Canada, but what about Tomlin?
Yeah, I don't think so. Mike Tomlin is a guy that came into this year with reasonable expectations, and I think Art Rooney did too. Yes, you want to win. If you're the Steelers, that is the expectation, is to win games, but you also have to be realistic at some point and look at your roster, especially after TJ Watt went down, right? After he gets hurt, you're not actually going to make serious runs at the playoffs or Super Bowl, whatever your goal is. I think that you had to put it into perspective there. So if they have a losing record, it's kind of whatever at this point. And Mike Tomlin has the track record to back up just about everything he sells and says. He's a guy that I largely feel is going to need multiple bad seasons to get out of Pittsburgh. I think he's got a lot of job security. I don't think that seat is remotely even warm. It might not even be lukewarm. I think he's sitting on a pretty ice cold seat right now. Matt Canada is super hot. But Mike Tomlin, man, I think that they see him as the leader to lead this group into the next generation of Steelers football. And so I can't see them firing Mike Tomlin this year, really anytime soon. It seems almost unfathomable to me right now, unless something goes seriously wrong within the next 2 years, to see Mike Tomlin gone.
With TJ Watt being out, I'm glad you brought that up. TJ Watt, 12 sacks for the season. Who on the Steelers defense is going to step up for the rest of the season to fill that void?
And that's and to kind of piggyback off, because I was looking at the Pittsburgh sack rankings, and only having 12. You think of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and you think of the pass rush as so dominant and so fierce. Right now, it just seems like it's a little bit of, and I know they've Alex Highsmith, a young player who's really emerging, but really, what else do they have with Watt not there?
Yeah, they're getting next to no production from their outside linebackers, outside of Alex Highsmith. He's really, there's been a lot of toll taken on Alex Highsmith. He's played the most snaps of any edge rusher or defensive lineman in the NFL this year, so he's been on the field and he's been worn down a lot. He's been really good, though, so that is one guy that you have to look out for. But Alex Highsmith is going to play a lot and he's going to get tired. Malik Reed hasn't really done anything. And outside of him, they really have no one there. The interior D line is where you kind of have to watch. Cam Hayward is still there. And he's been getting double teamed at absolute. I mean, he gets double teamed all the time, obviously, because they don't have to worry about TJ Watt. So it is mainly Cam Hayward eating double teams, but he still has a great long arm bull rush, all of that. He's an all-pro player. And another guy you have to worry about, in my opinion, is Larry Ogunjobi, who came over from the Bengals and has really, really played his best football this year in the past 2 weeks. Just completely destroyed the Buccaneers' offensive line. I mean, he took Shaq Mason, who's a pretty good guard, in my opinion, from the Buccaneers to shop. And that was a dominant football game. And then last week, what came in a little banged up, had another really solid game against the Dolphins as well, especially in run defense. That's been another big thing for Larry Ogunjobi. So the pass rush, it's not super fearsome, but you have guys on the D line that have the potential to break out and game break. But the question is, are they going to be able to do that? And it's come in spurts. And mostly the destruction has been done, in my opinion, in the ground game, where we've seen Cam Hayward, Larry Ogunjobi kind of really step up their game, but the pass rush hasn't completely followed yet from those two. They really missed 90. I mean, there's no doubt about it. They miss TJ Watt so much, and it's because their outside linebackers just don't get any production. And Terrell Austin, the defensive coordinator, just doesn't like to blitz. He likes to trust his secondary, and so you're not really going to see a ton of blitzing. You could see disguises where maybe they drop out an outside linebacker, bring the slot corner, or bring an inside linebacker here or there, but they rarely rush more than 4. So their strategy is to get home with 4 and cover you on the back end and let their guys kind of work. And so I wouldn't expect the blitzing to ratchet up either, to kind of compensate for it.
Now that you brought that up, with Jalen Hurts struggling against the blitz, I was just going to ask that. Do you think that the Pittsburgh defense is going to try to adapt to the game plan and kind of put pressure on Jalen Hurts to run out the pocket and make some bad decisions?
It's always possible. We just haven't seen them throw that out yet. We haven't seen them bring heat. Even against Josh Allen, they tried to do it once, got burnt for the 98-yard touchdown, and they never went back to it. And that's kind of the thing that they preach is we're going to get home with 4 because we trust our secondary enough to hold up, and that's kind of what they've preached all year. But Jalen Hurts could be kind of that right quarterback to where maybe you buck the trend, right? And I'll say this in terms of key players to watch in that mold is nickel cornerback Arthur Maulet. He is a guy that the Steelers love to use around down the line of scrimmage. They'll blitz him. They'll throw him out at dimebacker. He'll throw himself into the box. He'll play traditional slot. He'll play overhang safety. He's kind of moved around as this chess piece. So is Terrell Edmonds, their strong safety, and they use their safety nickel guys interchangeably in interesting ways where they can send those guys to be blitzers and disguise those blitzes. If there was any time for them to pull that out of the bag, it would be this week probably. So it's possible that they change that. It is in their arsenal. We've seen it before. It's still there. But we'll see if they consistently do it. But they just don't blitz a lot. And so I don't know if I would bet on it happening, but could it happen? Sure, because it is there. It is part of what they could do if they wanted to.
Nice.
Yeah, looking at the Steelers, you mentioned a little bit about their secondary of them trusting that a lot on defense, but they've kind of been beat up a little bit in just kind of the most recent weeks. And obviously they're about to face an Eagles wide receiver room that's arguably one of the deepest they've seen all season. How do you think they match up this week with the Pittsburgh secondary?
Yeah, the Steelers secondary is interesting. Banged up secondary though, man. I mean, this Steelers secondary just has not been healthy. Every single starter on this team has been hurt at one point or another in that secondary, and they have all missed 1 or more games. So there is literally not a starter in this secondary. There's not a player. I shouldn't even just say starter. Every single player in the secondary has been injured at one point. I am not kidding. Down to the backups of the backups. They have all been injured. So it's been a banged up group. Now, we'll see about Levi Wallace playing this week. He's dealing with a shoulder, which I think is going to actually affect this game a lot. Akella Witherspoon, though, it looks like he's going to be back. This is going to be the first time in a month he's probably going to be back from a hamstring injury that he suffered all the way back in September. So that will be interesting because now they can match a little bit of speed. He's their fastest cornerback. He's their longest corner. So maybe you see Witherspoon on a guy like Devontae Smith. That would be my guess. A.J. Brown, that's going to be a tough matchup for anybody. I don't care who you put on him, but probably Cam Sutton, who's more of a savvy guy. What they're going to rely upon is their safeties, though. The Steelers love to play sub-package football. And so they're going to bring in Minkah Fitzpatrick, move him around, move him to center field, bring him down to the robber role. They're going to move Terrell Edmonds around because these two safeties are super versatile. Now, we've heard rumblings of this. We don't know if it's 100% going to happen, but it looks like third safety DeMonte KZ could be returning this week. He hasn't played since the preseason. He broke his wrist. He sounds like he's going to be back this week. We haven't seen the Steelers use their 3 safety sets this year. And they've tinkered with the idea of it in the preseason and how they were going to use 3 safeties in their sub packages. If that happens, I think we're going to see a hyper versatile group of DBs that just get moved around a lot. They are really versatile, but this is a really good, solid Eagles receiving group that I think if you're going to blitz a lot, as you mentioned, you're going to have to match up with them in man-to-man a little bit. And that's honestly what the Steelers kind of did last week a little bit to slow down Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle a little bit to make them not be able to take over the game. They just bracketed their receivers really well. They made sure that their corners had help, and they made sure that they kept a lid on it. I imagine that's going to be a very similar strategy here. But it's a really, really solid group with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins. You got Zach Pascal. You got all these really solid players to deal with. And then that's not even saying Dallas Goedert's name, who is a real mismatch. And That's going to be a question mark. But I think the secondary of the Steelers has tricks in their bag, but they're prone to giving up explosive plays, and they're prone to giving up a lot of yards early in games. They're a slow starting unit. There's no doubt about that. You saw what happened against Miami, where Miami just went up and down the field early in the game. Then they finally adjusted. I think the Eagles have the advantage in this one on the wide receiver side of things versus the Steelers corners. I think the Steelers corners are talented, and I think they have a decent secondary. But again, they're going to have to play in man sometimes. I'm not sure I completely trust them to do that.
Yeah, and this, I'm going to kind of, bring it home here. I want to get two things from you. So I know you talked a little about the secondary, the Steelers versus the Eagles receivers. But what do you think is the biggest matchup that you have your eye on for Sunday? And then if you can, what would be your prediction for Sunday?
Yeah, the biggest matchup. I think personally, man, it's got to be these Steelers receivers versus the secondary of the Eagles, which has been so good. And Darius Slay and James Bradbury have been playing out of their minds. C.J. Gardner-Johnson has been a welcome addition. Avonte Maddox, another Pitt guy that this team's familiar with as well. There's so many good players in that secondary that have played really well. But the Steelers kind of work in reverse with how their run game works. They use the pass to open up the run more than they use the run to open up the pass. They kind of build their pass game out to build the run game out. And so I have to imagine if Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, and Chase Claypool, I'll throw Pat Freiermuth in there too, have a little bit of early success, that's going to change how Kenny Pickett feels very early in the game. And it's going to give him a little confidence. And that's kind of what Kenny Pickett needs. He needs some confidence. He needs to feel kind of what he's doing. And he's gained that over games before, and we've seen him play really well. My one worry against a really good ball hawking secondary is that Kenny Pickett right now is still thinking he can make the throws he made in college. And then when he tries to play big boy football and make those real tight window throws that maybe 5 people in the world can make in the NFL, it goes bad. You saw that happen against Miami twice down the stretch. So we'll see. But I think that this matchup actually is really important because if Deontay Johnson can get open a little bit and they can force kind of that attention away from George Pickens, maybe the Steelers can grab an explosive play or two, and that's going to be the big thing. The Steelers are going to have to force a turnover or two, and they're going to have to bring the Eagles down into the mud with them, essentially. They're going to have to take care of the football, and they're going to have to get an explosive play or two and force a turnover. And George Pickens is obviously your best receiver, in my opinion, to get you that explosive play on offense, and he's been really good. So we'll see. I wouldn't bet on it happening, that the Steelers have success against what is a really good secondary. But I think they're going to try to, and I think that that's kind of how they build their offense and how they're going to view it. And that's kind of how they're going to even the playing field, is trying to get those explosive plays to Pickens.
So if you have to give a prediction, I'm not sure if you want to do a prediction.
Do it.
I'll do it. And it's just hard to be high on the Steelers right now. They're a feisty team, but they're not good. Not super talented right now. They have the potential to bring teams into the mud with them. We've seen it the last 2 weeks, but we also can't forget what happened in Buffalo. To me, this screams a game where the Eagles maybe let the Steelers hang around a little bit, but I don't think it's ever truly in danger. I think the Eagles are probably going to win this one, 31-17, something like that. And it's a comfortable 31-17. Maybe the Steelers get a late touchdown, something in there. I don't really think that this one's going to be all that close. I think the Eagles will glide and kind of coast on this one.
Hey, hopefully. Where can everyone find you? What are you up to? What are you doing? Just so people are aware of what you're doing.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Farabaugh That's my last name, FB. Read my stuff at SteelersNow.com. I write all the Steelers covers. We're going to be writing Eagles-specific coverage, too, in regards to those matchups. Make sure to check out the Locked On Pitt podcast, too. I know some people from Philly are Pitt fans and all of that. So if you are an Eagles and Pitt fan, make sure to check that out as well.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thanks again for joining us. Really appreciate your time. And hopefully you can enjoy the game on Sunday for a little bit before the Eagles take over, like you're saying.
Yeah, I imagine that will be happening. But be in the press box. We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. I'm not expecting a very good display of football. from the Steelers, to say the least.
But again, thanks again, Nick, for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, Nick.
Oh, I'm the big one. Look, I'm big. This mustache got about 5 seconds left. It is peeling right now.
I'm surprised this lasted this long.
It's my nose sweat or something, man. Happy Halloween, everyone. I'm sorry.
It's probably just a little bit of some hot air coming out of your nose. But we'll get into talking, a little bit of the Eagles and Steelers. But before we do that, I want to talk about the big news that happened today. Howie Roseman, the wizard, seems like he's like a wizard, warlock, whatever you want to call him. He just calls up teams and tells them, give me this, you're going to get this, and they accept it. But Eagles acquired Robert Quinn from the Chicago. I like that. Chicago
from the Chicago Bears.
But for a 2023 fourth round pick.
Okay.
Hey, and the good part about it, I did see also, was that the Bears they're going to take on $7.1 million of his salary. So the Eagles are going to be paying around $700,000, which is the vet minimum. So right there is a win. Now, of course, next year he has a big cap number, but none of it's guaranteed money. So they can always maneuver what they need to do whatever they want to do. But again, you have a player I know he only has 1 sack this year. He had 18.5 sacks last year. People get a little hell-bent on just looking at he has only 1 sack.
Right.
Because he's been double teamed, because there's no longer Mack is not there anymore. Akeem Hicks is not there anymore. So he's the focal point on that defensive line. So of course teams are, focusing on him. So that's not going to be happening in Philadelphia when you have a daunting defensive line. But what do you guys think of Adam? What do you think of the trade that was made today?
I mean, I think it's huge. Like, I get he's struggling this year, but like you mentioned, like Khalil Mack's not there, Akeem Hicks isn't there, and Chicago's an awful team this year. So like the production's not going to be, as strong when he's also on the field for 75% of the game, because Justin Fields doing a 3 and out because they don't know how to play with him. But to get him for a day 3 pick like that, especially with other guys that there's rumors that there's teams offering multiple first-round picks out there for players and a lot of big-name players on the market. But our defensive line is stacked. Brandon Graham, Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox. Like, you can't double-team one person because you just let somebody else, get a free pass to the quarterback. So I think you'll see that 1 sack get a lot larger, and we'll quickly approach 18 by week 17 or week 18.
I 100% agree with Mac. Listen, how he does it again, man. Like, for a guy what did I say to you earlier today, Johnny? This guy sold his soul to the devil. I swear he did. Up until this point, up until this offseason, it's been this roller coaster ride of is he going to get the name? Is he not? And it's usually him not, and him trying to outsmart the situation. But this is a win-win for the Eagles defense, and it's a win-win for a team that potentially could make a deep run in the playoffs. I mean, you're right. You can't double team just one person. There's going to be so many different linemen that can get to the quarterback. So this is a win-win. I mean, I name one person that's a Philadelphia Eagles fan that thinks this is a bad move, and I'll give you $100. I mean,
there isn't many right now.
No, and I don't have $100, so don't.
No, but I liken this move to like when they had Michael Bennett and when they had Chris Long. You get that type of rotational pass rusher that still has juice left in the tank. You're able to not have him playing 65 to 70% of the snaps. He's going to be playing 40% of the snaps, but he's going to be fresh. He's going to be rejuvenated. It's going to help him to be on a line with all these talented players and a defense with all these talented players. So
absolutely, for
me, it's a great pickup. And hey, Howie Roseman is laying in the weeds. He's checking on everything. He could possibly have another thing up his sleeve.
There's rumors that he's been in contact with the Saints about Alvin Kamara and that they were in the mix for Christian McCaffrey.
Now, if he does that, I think we need to have we need to have like a ritual or something, because
he sold his soul.
That would be it would be crazy. But
I'm not sure what else we could give the Saints, or what the Saints could throw in like another first-round pick with it as well, and we'll give them like a 7th.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but
They're just trying to give us a higher pick. It's like, here, no, this isn't good enough. Let's give you this on top of that.
Think about that. We'll take their best player on offense right now, and then inch closer to getting Will Anderson with that pick. So it's gonna be a win-win for everybody.
Oh yeah,
it's nice the amount of assets that they have and the the picks that they have in there. It is different because a lot of people want to compare to kind of what the Los Angeles Rams did the previous year and then prior, adding these big name talents, doing these trades. But the thing about what Los Angeles was doing, they were giving away premium picks.
Yeah.
And they were, basically making the cupboard bare. And the Eagles aren't doing that. Eagles have a multitude of picks. They have free agents to be signed and stuff like that, but they're adding talent and not giving up premium assets for it. And that's huge because they're able to replenish the players on the roster because, players that are getting older, they're able to replenish them with younger players. And that's not what happened in Los Angeles. And you're looking at it now on kind of the after effects of what's going on there. But no, it's a great trade, great move. The Eagles are making a splash. They're making it known. They're 6-0 right now. And, I absolutely love it. And the trade deadline is the 1st of November. So it is coming up quickly. So after Sunday's games, basically, you have the deadline that Tuesday. So you could see potentially some more trades. There's been a couple trades. I do know the Jets, after losing Breece Hall to a torn ACL, they picked up James Robinson from the Jaguars, and Jonathan Hankins from the Raiders went over to Dallas. So Dallas got some bolster to their interior defensive line, and the Eagles, hit them again with, one-upped it with Robert Quinn. So great addition by the Eagles. I'm not going to say anything else other than that because that's exactly what it is. But kind of turning the tides a little bit, discussing the last section of this show, let's talk about the Eagles matchup come Sunday against the Pittsburgh Steelers. What do you guys think? Like for me, looking at this game and looking at, the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's a team I think you can't sleep on. I know they've struggled. I know Matt Canada has struggled in terms of what their offense has been doing. But I just don't think you can sleep on this team just because they still have some playmakers, whether it's on the defensive side of the ball or the offensive side of the ball. And I think the Eagles have to be very wary of that. And you had a bye week, so they're rested up. Hopefully they can get Lane Johnson back. He's still in protocol, I guess. So hopefully by Friday he's cleared and he's able to play because that's going to be a big time loss if you don't have him have to put Driscoll out there on the edge there. And Brandon Graham was listed on the practice report. He did not practice today with a hamstring. So that's another thing to watch because I don't believe Robert Quinn will be available Sunday. So just a couple things there. But what are you guys looking at in terms of this game?
Adam?
I think the Eagles need to play football in the third quarter. It's the biggest thing. It seems like it's consistent every single week. I don't think they've actually scored a touchdown in the third quarter, which is quite frightening. Doing great in the second quarter. We're playing like, some of those great, amazing teams in the second quarter, but I'm getting a little scared in the third quarter. I'm not sure what they're saying to them in the locker room, but, it's going to take a slow second quarter, and then they're going to go into the third and struggle and then have to, play from behind in the fourth quarter, something they haven't done yet this year. So I think that's the biggest key for this weekend is they need to play and have a strong third quarter because, like you said, Pittsburgh has a lot of playmakers, both in the receiving core and the running game. So, there's a good chance this game's a lot closer. And if we decide to, take a quick power nap during the third quarter like we always do, we could be playing from behind again, like we were doing with Arizona for a little bit.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. That was going to be mine. So I'll go to my second.
My bad.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Harris, the run game scares me. I look, if we don't get to a big lead within the first and second quarter, and it's close, and they start draining clock, I think that's where I get worried. Especially like to piggyback off of what you said in the second half, it worries me a little bit. Am I overtly worried about it? Not necessarily, but I don't see this team going undefeated, and someone's got to beat us eventually. And I'm just hoping that this bye week didn't throw everyone off track. I'm looking forward to seeing them in the second half of this game, but I'm also looking for that defensive line to stop that run. And what Nick, what's his name? If I'm not
Nick,
mistaken,
Nick
Nick,
Farabaugh.
what Nick said, their pass basically sets up their run. In this situation, I'm not worried about the pass per se, but I am worried about the run. So if we could stop that run game, if we can get to the quarterback, if this defensive line does its job the way it's supposed to, I think we'll be okay. But also the concerns of not scoring in the second half or the third quarter kind of worry me as well.
Yeah, and I think a big thing you have to look at too is you look at the Eagles' defensive line. I want to see more of Jordan Davis and Milton Williams. I want to see a little less of Fletcher Cox. I
Yeah.
think Fletcher Cox shouldn't be playing a whole ton of reps, 75% of the reps. He is over 30 years old. Keep him fresh. You don't want to be overdoing it, because if you look in the second half of that Dallas game, he was getting pushed around. There was one on the Ezekiel Elliott touchdown.
Yeah.
He got pushed all the way.
Just like 12
Basically,
yards.
yeah, he basically got pushed back. He got pushed back onto the bench, and it wasn't by Zach Martin, their all-pro guard. It was by the right tackle Terrence Steele. So definitely something that I want to see more of Jordan Davis. I want to see a little more of Milton Williams, but I think that I don't know about the run game in per se scaring me. I think what's scaring me is the missed tackling, and I think that's going to be when you have a player of Najee Harris's size. You're not going to bring him down with arm tackles. You're going to have to grab him at his feet. You're going to have to be able to form tackle and get him down, because if you think that you're just going to try and tackle him up high and arm tackle him, he's going to be falling forward for 3, 4, 5 yards. So definitely something that that's one thing that I'd be a little concerned about. But the one thing, to pose to you guys is wait until we see the Eagles play a full game. What is that even going to look like? Because if they come out, exactly, it's very scary, and they come out and they play a full game, the league better beware, because that's a scary team when you can do that.
That's a good point, man. They haven't seen the best of them yet, so when that does happen, man, it's going to be a good day, though. Can you imagine that? This is going to be a complete blowout. You know what I mean? When they play a full game, 4-quarter game, especially with the way this defense is taking balls away. I mean, it's a good time to be an Eagle fan if everything comes together. I agree with you on that one. So does this mustache, by the way. It's nodding. There we go. We're back on.
Yeah, I think we haven't really seen them at, I think besides the second quarter, actually play a full game of football. I don't think we've seen the best out of this team yet. I still think there's a lot of stuff that we're still trying to figure out. Even the coaches. Gannon, Steichen, they're still young coaches. And from time to time, they show their youth as coaches and as coordinators. Even Sirianni from time to time will have moments where it's like, that's honestly, he's not a rookie coach, but that's a rookie coach decision. But, we haven't been really tested. There was obviously the Arizona game, a little bit with the Jacksonville game where we were playing behind, but everything, eventually came, clicked together. We really still haven't been tested. So that's when it's going to be for guys like the veteran guys on the team and even the coaches to kind of get a little lesson in hey, this is the time to play from behind and this is what we need to do, and show the NFL that this team has a lot of depth on it, and hopefully it pans out.
Yeah. And I think a big thing for the Steelers is, you're looking at their defensive side of the ball and be able to control Cam Hayward and Minkah Fitzpatrick, and TJ Watt's not there, so that's that's a plus there, especially if you don't have a guy like Lane Johnson playing. But it's going to be a game where you can't overlook, because the Steelers are 2-5 and they're not playing very well this year, but they're not a team that you can just say, they're not that bad. They're not that good. So he could just walk. You can't walk in and this season has showed you can't just walk in and expect to win, because at any given Sunday, anything can happen. And we've seen it the last couple of weeks. So, you can't overlook any team. You get out there and you play. And I really don't think this team is going to do that. I just don't think that's how they're programmed. They're programmed where if they win, they have a good game, they still say there's more. So I think that's one good quality of this team, and basically their identity is they can always be better. They can get better. But before we get into the predictions and the locks for this week, I do want to throw out, with the trade deadline coming on the 1st of November, as Peanut's mustache partially falls off.
Start to peel off.
What would you guys say if you want to throw a player that you'd like to see and or position that you think the Eagles possibly could still add and upgrade on this roster? I'll start with you, Peanut.
Can I mention one that I thought they missed?
Go ahead.
What's one of our Achilles heels? It's our special teams. And when I seen Deshaun Jackson was out there, and I'm thinking to myself, why wouldn't you sign him for, even if it's just for special teams, punt, kick return, maybe a couple plays on the offense here and there. I thought, like, in my mind, our special team, it's horrible. Like, I'm watching it, and it's almost like if I'm getting the ball in the punt return, and I'm like, I'm not seeing explosiveness come through. Hold on. Oh, I messed that up. I'm not seeing.
They don't need to, though, because they got Greg Ward back on the practice squad.
Good.
He's back, baby.
He's back. He's back on the practice. You know what? And Greg Ward is one of those. I think he's more or less a leader in the locker room. To just have him there with the young guys in the practice squad is a good thing. But I just feel like they missed on that one. Like, they didn't really address anything on special teams. So that was when I seen Deshaun Jackson go, I'm like, why wouldn't you? Like, why wouldn't you at least kick the tires? Why wouldn't you try it? Because what we have right now on special teams is dreadful.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with they tried him back in 2020 to punt return. He wound up break his leg or something.
He got injured. Yeah,
he got hurt. He's 35 years old, so maybe not be, his option. Plus, going to play for Baltimore, he's going to have a lot more reps receiver wise than he's going to have here. So
for about a game or two till he blows a hammy.
Yeah, unfortunately, probably he's at that age. But all the luck to him. Hopefully, he does great. Nothing but the best for Deshaun, Eagles legend. So. Absolutely. But Adam, who do you think? Who would be a player and or position you would target?
I think my hope is they're going to focus on the running back position a little bit more. I think that's on offense. It's kind of the one weak spot we have right now. Obviously, the health of the offensive line is big, and them being healthy is going to dictate our offense runs. But I think that seeing as they were in the hunt for McCaffrey, they've been calling the Saints about Alvin Kamara. I wouldn't be surprised if they, are on the phone with a few more teams. The Browns calling Kareem Hunt. Another name that's a free agent at the end of the year and his team sucks. The Raiders of Josh Jacobs, who's playing absolutely phenomenal. Getting a guy, even if we give up the Eagles' first-round pick, not the Saints, give it the Eagles' first-round pick, which would be a late first. Bringing a guy like Josh Jacobs in, who's having a really, really good year, pair him with Miles Sanders, it opens up a lot more doors for the Eagles' offense, especially down the road and deep into the playoffs.
Yeah, you're looking at the running back position, and you hear Kareem Hunt. I think he is a player that definitely will be moved, just because the way Nick Chubb has taken over that team, and he's just unbelievable this year. And what he's doing on the field, and they have backups there that could take the carries that Kareem Hunt's getting. And if they can try to get a mid round pick, day 2, 3 pick, they're going to take that. But Josh Jacobs is interesting. I don't think it's going to cost you a first because I don't think they re-sign him. So to me, it's you're looking at the running back. If they're running back position, if they're able to, add to that. Okay. One player in one position. Now, another player, I wish he was healthy because I would definitely call him up, would be Atlanta. I'd call for Cordero Patterson because he can be that returner and he can be that kind of jack of all trades. I can't take you seriously with that damn mustache.
This has been nothing but work the whole show too, just trying to keep it on from peeling off.
But the other player that I thought about is, and I saw a lot of people mention him, and it's Desmond King from the Houston Texans. Now, I know Houston, they released Camus Grugier-Hill. He asked for his release. So to me, they're at that point where they're looking to, unload some of these players. And Desmond King would be a player because he has punt return ability, and he can play corner and or say nickel corner, can play some safety. So he gives you that third safety, that backup secondary player, and also can do a little punt return action. He's not going to cost you a ton. So that'd be a player that I wouldn't mind adding to the roster to be able to kind of, strengthen a position, because I feel third safety is the need, because if you have a player like Marcus Epps or Gardner Johnson get hurt and you have to throw in Kayvon Wallace back there. Listen, I like Kayvon Wallace, but I just feel his limitations are so evident on the field. It's tough. A special team player. Yeah, he's a good special teams player, but otherwise he just isn't the player that you thought he was going to be coming out of Clemson. And again, that's where you looked at the school and you looked at a player on a school thinking he was going to be
second coming of something.
Yeah, I didn't say that, but for me, it's just he's still an NFL player, but more possibly a special teams type of player for you. But
yeah,
you don't want to be throwing him in there as a starting safety because that teams are going to target him and they're going to go after him with that. But especially he's not a deep safety type of player, and he's like basically he's more down on the ball against the run, stuff like that. But
yeah.
I just wanted to bring up a little bit of some trade deadline before we get into the Ulecka locks and get into.
Oh, this is my first Ulecka locks. I'm in. Let's do it.
And it's fun because I got a little background music too that'll play too.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, but as we always do, it's time for.
It's time for the Ulecka locks of the week. Who's your lock?
All right. So Ulecka locks is you don't have to pick the Eagles game. You could pick any game, something you think is definitely going to happen. I will read Mike's Ulecka lock because he did send it to me, even though he's not on tonight. Let me pull that up because I don't know if we're really going to like what he has to say. Well, not that the prediction aspect. We won't.
Well, he's a big Kenny Pickett guy too.
Oh, we'll get. Yeah, small hands Pickett. He likes small hands because he's got small hands. So we have his lock of the week, and I will play the music. So his lock of the week is he has the Chicago Bears beating the Dallas Cowboys. Justin Fields will be in the end zone or in the ball at least once. So that's a pretty big lock because last week we both got ours wrong. He had the Jags beating the Giants. The Jags were a yard short of trying to get that. And I had Arizona winning and DeAndre Hopkins getting a touchdown. So I was wrong. I was half right, but I was wrong. So we both missed out. We both missed out on that. So I will start with you, Peanut. This is your first Ulecka lock?
Yes.
Lock it up.
First. My Ulecka lock of the week. Hurts will throw 2 touchdowns in the second half to blow out. I mean, wait, I'm not making predictions. 2 touchdowns, second half. Jalen Hurts. I'm taking this thing off.
Oh,
I look even better. I look like, yeah, I should have just did this.
Well, now you know for next time. Adam, what is your Ulecka lock? I think Adam muted himself. All right. So I will give my.
Yep,
I can hear him now. Go ahead.
We can hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Perfect. I'm going to say for the first time since 2015, the Jets are going to beat the Patriots.
Ooh. That's a good one. That is a really good one. I like that. The Jets are 5-2. They're I
don't know who's going to really. I know they said Mac Jones is starting the game, but I don't know if it's going to be him or Zappy that ends the game. It should be Zappy, but
yeah, we don't know what mediocre Bill Belichick's going to be when he doesn't have Tom Brady. I'm going to call him mediocre Bill until we see otherwise. Just do a little research. What's his record without Tom Brady? You could bring that up on your pregame show. You could talk about that if you want. My Ulecka lock of the week, and I'm going to stay with this game. I was going to go off, do another game, but I decided to keep it with the Philadelphia Eagles, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that Kenny Pickett will turn the ball over 2 times and will be sacked at least 4 times. So 4 sacks and 2 turnovers.
I'm really rooting for both of you guys to be correct.
Now,
that means that this can be an Eagles
too.
win.
Exactly. Now, I'm going to say Pittsburgh quarterbacks, 2 turnovers, and because if Kenny Pickett gets hurt, then I'm wrong. So Eagles are going to have 2 turnovers and 4 sacks. Keep it that way, so in case it's multiple quarterbacks that play, I'm still right. So 2 turnovers and 4 sacks. And that is the Ulecka locks. Now we're going to get into the predictions.
Yes.
And the predictions, I have, of course, some music as well.
Of course you
Again,
do.
don't get too excited. Now, I know it seems like every time I put music on, Peanut takes something off. So please keep your clothes on. Please keep
The
your
wig's
hair
gonna
on.
stay on. The pants. I've been sitting here in boxers the whole time. You can't see anything underneath
You
there.
can't see anything. So, and even if you did show us, we wouldn't be able to see anything. So,
No, not at all.
So with that,
That's not classy, bro.
I know. I'm sorry. So, now we get to the prediction aspect of the Eagles and Steelers. And Mike Bauer has the Steelers stunning the Eagles 28-24.
Oof.
Next week, when he is wrong, I will call him out and make sure that he doesn't make asinine predictions like that ever again. So that'll be
nervous.
That'll be next week type of show. That's just because his love for Kenny Pickett. I think that's basically what that comes down to. But
And his absurd hatred for Hurts.
yeah, his lack of knowledge on Hurts. So I'm going to start off with you, Adam. What is your prediction for this Eagles-Steelers matchup?
I think the Eagles have a little bit of a slump coming out from the bye week. I still think they win. It's going to be a lot closer than it should be. Obviously, Pittsburgh's been struggling a lot. They obviously have a lot of talent. I think it's going to be a high offensive game. I'm going to go 42-35 Eagles. But I think the big thing that people aren't talking about, the Eagles are going to win this game on the ground. Pittsburgh's one of the worst run defenses in the NFL this season. We're always talking about Hurts and all of his playmakers. You know, Miles Sanders is having a very quiet year. It's a contract year, so obviously he's playing well. I think it's going to be a big game for the run between him, Hurts, Boston Scott, Kenny G. I say the Eagles win it on the run.
Okay, all right. Peanut, what do you got? I won't go to you because you're going to do your keys to the game. I'll give my prediction, then we'll end with you with your key to this game.
Got it.
So I think, what the Eagles do best is time of possession. They control the ball. And they control the ball because of their offense and the way they can run the ball and the way they can take long drives. And that's what they do a lot of. So I don't have it as high of a scoring game, but I have the Eagles 27 and I have the Pittsburgh Steelers 16. Same score. Is that same score as last week? Or last
As long as it ain't 31-17, because I think we heard that all year.
I'm going to do 27-19. I'll be a little bit different. The 27-19 Eagles. And then brings it to you, Peanut. What's your key to the game? Since you're doing a pregame show, you'll give your prediction.
Oh, yeah, by the way.
We will talk about after you can break it down, give us a little info on where we can find you and Jeff.
Sweet.
And Birds, Beers, and BS.
Keys to the game is going to solely rely on getting the ball to the playmakers. We need to pass the ball. One thing that we haven't really seen, we've been moving the ball, we've been running the ball. We need some big playability. And we have players that can make those big plays. So the keys to the game is Jalen Hurts getting the ball to A.J. Brown, Smitty, and I'm not talking 10, 15 yards. I'm talking let's open up the field. So my key to the game is Jalen Hurts finally silencing the critics and delivering what he needs to do. That's the key to the game. Big plays, baby.
No, that's great. And again, where can we find you and Jeff and your show, Birds, Beers, and BS pregame show this weekend?
We are going to be at the Trolley Barn in Quakertown, Pennsylvania. Please come by. It's a fun time. You can bring your kids by. There's stuff for them to eat. There's ice cream parlors, Doan Distillery for the adults. And if you enjoy locally made drinks that are beyond great, go to Doan Distillery. Trust me, that's all I drink now. But we'll be at the Trolley Barn, man. We're gonna be having fun, giving away some fun things and having a good time. So please come out, come support. Even if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, we do not hate on you guys. Please come on out, wear your jerseys, wear a costume. I will be in costume. I'm trying to talk Jeff into doing it, but I don't see that. I don't see that happening. So we're gonna be at the Trolley Barn in Quakertown. Come by, have a good time. Pregame show with Birds, Beers, and BS. And that's it. That's it.
Yeah, and in the next show, I will make sure I make it out to the next pregame live. So definitely we'll do that. Not this weekend. It is my daughter's birthday, so we will be celebrating that. So
it's my wife's birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday, Laura. Love you.
There you go. Happy birthday, Laura. So enjoy.
Actually, on Friday.
On Friday. Well, hopefully you got her something nice.
I did.
And give a little more sponsors. We are talking a little bit about Doan Distillery and one of our sponsors and your pregame show at the Trolley Barn. But also we have Stuff to the Grills in Allentown. You can order them at that number, 484-274-6760, or visit them at stufftothegrills.com for the full menu and specials. Great catering menu. So definitely check them out. Tell them we sent you. Don't hesitate. Also, Vinny's Pizza and Restaurant. It's located Iroquois Trail in Allentown, same as Stuff to the Grills. So, of course, you can order there, 610-395-2300 or vinnyspizzapa.com. Again, tell them we sent you. Get your game day specials there. Maybe go out and get some food there. And if you're not able to make it out to Doan Distillery and Trolley Barn to see the guys, maybe order from Stuff to the Grills or Vinny's Pizza and, watch them from home. But definitely going to be fun this weekend. I'm excited. Eagles football is back after the bye week. We get to watch a little Eagles football. The NFC East is tight. There's still some teams that are still up there right behind the Eagles, so you can't take any game lightly. You have the 6-1 Giants, and you have the 5-2 Dallas Cowboys.
Third place Dallas Cowboys.
The third place Dallas, who are still talking about the Eagles, even though we played them how many weeks ago. So
exactly.
You can see where their heads are at.
Don't forget about Washington.
All right, the 3 and 4 Commanders. Now that Carson Wentz is no longer their quarterback, they have maybe a slight chance to sneak into a wild card spot. Sure, you can talk about them, but I'm myself, Johnny U, at Johnny U 9322, Adam Mack at Adam Mack NFL, and of course Peanut. You can check him out on the Birds, Beers, and BS show. You can check out all our shows. Burning Bridges will be back November 8th. A couple week layoff until daylight saving time hits, and then we get a little bit. It'll be 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, not the 10:30, so it kind of helps out people who want to watch an hour earlier. Helps out there. But you have the Union show across the pitch. The Union are in the playoffs. They're headed towards the final and stuff. So some big time playoffs in Philadelphia with the Union, with the Phillies at the World Series that start on Friday. Eagles are 6-0. Flyers are playing really well, surprisingly, so far this season. Sixers suck, so we're not going to talk about them. But
I'm surprised you even brought them up. I wouldn't even. I wouldn't even mention them.
But with that, the Philly sports scene is pretty awesome right now. But we're gonna always look at the Eagles with this show, all birds all the time, and we always end it with a very happy.
Go Birds. Oh, did I go too soon?
That seems like an issue. That seems like a thing which you always.
But
we're gonna end it with a little commercial. But very happy and joyful. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
This is Matt Ware. Hey, for all the Eagle content you need, go follow All About the Birds. They do a damn thing. Check them out.
Hey, Eagles fans, I may be in Tampa, but I know where to find the best Eagles content out there. Check out my friends at All About the Birds.
Philadelphia, what's up? This your boy Freddie Mitchell, a.k.a. Fred X. It's all about the bird.
All birds all the time. All birds all the time.